And Hubert Davis gave a summer press conference. Head coach, North Carolina basketball. 35 minutes. You know he's going to, you stumble into something interesting in 35 minutes of conversation.
Yeah, you do.
And he didn't have to stumble into it. He came with some ideas. He came with some thoughts, and we're going to break some of them down. One of them is, and this might not be on the surface the most buzzworthy thing, but I thought it was fascinating. And it's almost because why hasn't this happened already? Hubert Davis is considering adding a GM to the Carolina basketball program. First of all, great move. Second of all, should have been done already. Third of all, any program that can afford it should find a way to do it. The head coach at the biggest college programs are not even coaches in a lot of ways. And I'm not saying that there's like, a shadow puppet or a ghostwriter. But what I'm saying is they're CEOs. Right? Like Carolina basketball is more than just a basketball team. It's a brand. It's a business, right? There's merchandise. Now there's name, image, and likeness deals. There's all of these things outside of can you win on the basketball court, and the head coach is the head of it. Right? A lot of times we like to joke and say quarterbacks are the CEOs of the franchise. Coaches are the CEOs of the franchise. And they really are now. Right? In college sports, the head coach is so much more than drawing up plays. They have to fundraise. We're seeing more and more of that. Right? They got to be on the phone. They have to be sending thank you notes. They have to be interacting with the richest people in the state. They have to be spokespeople. Right? Meaning they have to be comfortable in front of the media. They have to be giving 35-minute press conferences in the middle of the summer. They have to do all of those sorts of things. They have to be schedulers. They have to be managers. And if all that gets finished, they can coach a little. Right? If you get all of those responsibilities done, sure, you can watch some tape on another ACC football or basketball or baseball or whatever program you're coaching. And that doesn't make sense. Because that's not why you were hired, right? Look at Hubert Davis. Hubert Davis was an assistant at Carolina from 2012 to 2021 before being named the head coach. I'm sure a decent amount of the reason they hired him is because he was a really good coach, right? Because he proved himself to Roy Williams and everyone else in that program with how he scouted and how he broke down tape and the ideas he came up to contribute to the game plan and his work with individual players on getting better. So, all right, those skills get you the job. Now that you have the job, we're going to need you to be a fundraiser. If you can hire a general manager, and that's kind of what they're being called, other schools have them. Other schools here in the Triangle have them. Duke has one. A bunch of other ACC schools have them. If you can hire a general manager to take a bunch of the non-basketball stuff off your plate, you do it. You do it. So the fact that they're thinking of it, it's a good thing to think of. But it's also a good thing to actually do.
A lot of your competitors have them.
And so think about it like this. Right, Carolina, Duke, I think they'll probably say they don't circle that game. That's a lie. They do say that's the biggest rivalry in college basketball, right? John Shire has more time to focus on basketball because he has a GM to worry about name, image, and likeness, to worry about events in the offseason, to take that off of their plate. Hubert Davis, without a GM, he's taking more of that responsibility. He's taking more of that responsibility. I want Hubert Davis, who played for Dean Smith, who had a 12-year NBA career, right? Who learned under Roy Williams on the coaching staff for 10 years. I want him to be running drills. I want him to be drawing up game plans. I don't want him worried about how are you going to keep your backup shooting guard. I'm just making up a scenario here. How they're going to keep their backup shooting guard happy with his name, image, and likeness compensation. Put that on someone else's to-do list. How he's going to organize a off-season event, a meet and greet in some city that they want to turn into a recruiting hotbed. That's not what I think the head coach should be worried about. It reminds me of another pet peeve of mine. Another pet peeve of mine is when there's some hotshot coordinator on the football side of things, right? Football season's right around the corner, so it's kind of top of mind. Like if there's a hotshot coordinator that everyone wants to be their head coach, right? Think like, somebody that once shook hands with Sean McVay and is running a top 10 offense in the NFL, so everybody is really excited by them. The thing that I want to do when they become a head coach is I want them to do the thing that made them attractive as a head coach, right? So if you're a play caller as a coordinator and that's why your offense is awesome, when I hire you to be a head coach, I don't want you to then hire an offensive coordinator and have them call plays. I'm going like, no, the reason I want you is because of what you do on offense. So if I hire Hubert Davis or any head coach, right? And Hubert Davis obviously was pretty darn awesome in his first year, making it all the way to the Final Four in the championship game. But if I hire you, I want you to do the thing I was impressed with you before I hired you. I don't want you doing all of the extra CEO stuff that a head coach has to do. So hire someone to do that. Hire someone to do all of the extra. Let's hear from Hubert Davis himself on exploring the possibility of a GM.
It is. It's something that I'm talking about and something that I'm considering in regards to the changing things in college basketball, because there's a number of responsibilities that I have. Now you add on the transfer portal, and the involvement of agents, NIL, that's a lot. And why I'm talking about it and thinking about it is making sure, because the most important thing is me being a basketball coach, but that is other parts of my job. And so it's something that I'm considering. It's something that I'm talking about.
That is exactly the point I'm making. Right? The number one thing is to be a basketball coach. Anything that takes your head coach's attention away from being a basketball coach, I'm talking sneakers on the hardwood basketball coach, I want to take away from his purview. Find someone they trust to take that off their plate.
I speak from personal experience having coached collegiately. When I went from assistant coach to head coach, completely different. There's so much of attention and focus that goes away from what's actually, for me, lacrosse was on the field. Because I had to go into booster club meetings and meet in the admissions offices and things along those lines. I didn't have to do that as an assistant coach. I had a role and a focus as an assistant. Things completely change when you go from assistant coach to head coach.
And that is like, it just doesn't make sense. Like the logic of that is like, because you were a really good assistant coach, they entrusted you with being the head coach, and then they take all of the things that you were good at as an assistant coach and go, we have bigger priorities that you have to tackle now. And it's like, wait a second, wait, no. I mean, in any industry, that doesn't make a boatload of sense, right?
I much prefer being an assistant, by the way.
Is that because when people complain, you can go, I don't know, go talk to them?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, again, you had a focus, you had a role.
Yep.
And there's oftentimes when I was a head coach, because I had all these other things I needed to do, that when it was like, we have 30 minutes for practice, I didn't even play in practice yet because I've spent 7 hours of the day already doing all these other things.
Yeah, and I want my head coach like agonizing over practice. I want them drawing up a practice and then going, no, there's not enough time on defense. There's not enough time working on two-man game. Let's go back and redo it. If you have a bunch of other stuff on your plate, as soon as you get some semblance of a practice done, you're like, all right, we're running with that. Let's go call up all those boosters. We gotta get enough money for the new locker rooms or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. GMs, if someone else has them and you don't, you're at a disadvantage. So get one, especially if you're North Carolina. Right? But I'm sure it's in the budget. You got the cash. Sell a couple more pieces of merch.